So we talk about not just our community, but any other. Okay, we're gonna hear opinions, the negativity.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they might attack personal to you guys, or you know that's might be normal for others. How do you guys handle the negativity if it was like hit towards you, coming straight at you? How do you guys handle the negativity?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because
I'm the it's
it's
open.
a real thing. It's an
Yeah.
Yeah.
open
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
and
definitely.
Oh
real
Yeah.
yeah.
deal. We get to be
Oh yeah.
transparent and be you share freely. This is a safe space.
So I'll share my personal thing, and then the thing if you can chime in later. So I went through something a couple of years ago that it really affected my self worth, and I remember at one point in time as I'm starting to repair that I told myself like, man, I cannot change the things that still made me me, but I can still cut away all the things that was negative. So I even man in the face of a lot of the judgment and a lot of the critique and everybody just like even to the point where I almost feel like a different person you walking in the room. It's like, oh, forget, here's this guy again.
Yeah.
But a part of me, you have to go through that. I went through therapy too, but therapy was actually one thing that helped a lot. And one thing I bring up to some of the boys who I share about, I say, hey man, if you get a chance to go to therapy, go get therapy. I told him, I was like, there's a I told him, I go, there's this culture we have, especially in our hometown. Like, I go, the moment somebody starts to explain a little bit too much, what's the line? Don't explain your life. And then after my third session with my therapist, I told him that I go, hey, there's this culture, home. And then he was like, yeah, man. And I go, but I didn't realize how freeing explaining my life would be, especially in this sense. I mean, I get why the boys don't want it, because some guys they're there for the mix. They only have so much time. If somebody's complaining the whole time, you're kind of tainting their mix. But for your own personal health, right? Your own mental health, I recommend getting. So for me, I just told myself, okay, even to the point where my wife was like questioning, like, wait, we still gonna be this? You still gonna do that? And I was like, yeah, it's because I don't want to lose who I am in this journey. If I change to whatever that is, I don't know who that person is. If I go reroute my route, I don't know who that person is. But this person I know that I was going towards, I just had a few, mistakes and things to fix. I just kept going on that path, and I found, man, I'm so much happier, and my wife was happier too. Now seeing that, but you have to stick the whole route. You have to stay the whole way. There's probably a better way to say that, but me, I said them, high and
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no.
that's my.
I want to stay there a little bit more.
Yes.
Ask you a question, then we'll come to Singer, and you can jump in anytime. So that therapy, it's great, man, because we need it.
Yeah.
A lot of time, it's our ego allowing us not to go through that. And when you tell somebody you're going through therapy, they're going to look at you. What's wrong with you?
Weakness.
Yeah.
Weakness.
Yeah. Seen as a weakness.
What's wrong with you? What? Man up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man up. And just going through that, thank you for sharing that. And feel free to jump in more because it is a huge thing. How do you deal with negative criticism? A lot of them not going to come straight to you and say, but us, we hear things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this guy went through this. Oh, this guy did this. Oh, this guy did this. You know what I mean? So how do we still show up for these people knowingly these are the same people that was you know what I mean?
Sure.
We're trying to heal, but how do you guys still show up in front of these people that say hello to you, but also say these things about you?
Stab you in the back.
Yeah. So how do you guys still show up like you were touching about that? And second, we'll talk about that phrase, don't explain your life, because it is a huge funny thing. Funny, but not funny.
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to heal. Yeah. So how do you still face the people, or do you still be around them?
Yeah. So for me, I am blessed that my wife is a licensed clinical therapist. So I live with therapy every day, which is very unheard of, I guess, And so I guess to answer that question, a lot of it is not even you needing to face that. A lot of it is the people that are doing the backstabbing
Absolutely.
that has their own issues.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The moment I started realizing that, and the moment I started understanding the way a therapist think, it started freeing my mind from holding on to all of this stuff. And that's to me is the issue. And that's what, you know, she said was the issue is you hanging on to stuff that number one don't mean anything to you.
Mhm.
Number two is the thing that's going to drive you into the ground. Why? Because you doing it to yourself. They might say it, we come from Laie. You almost got to have tough skin to get through the thick stuff. It is what it is, right?
Mhm.
Flip side to that is whatever you're taking upon yourself because you either think somebody's saying something or they actually really are saying something, you're self-inflicting yourself with
Mhm.
that. And the only reason I say that is not to be shallow about somebody else feeling that way or going to therapy. It's because I hear it every day from a licensed clinical therapist.
Mm.
So it's a different way to wake up out of bed, different way to say, hey, this is the way we need to attack the day. Whatever comes with it, we take the good, we brush off the bad, and we just keep going. You know, you can either frown and get pissed off at something, or you can smile right through it because it has no control over paying your mortgage, raising your kids, dropping your kids off at school. So it's a mental thing for me. At the end of the day, I started learning from, you know, my wife that it's 100% mental. Everything else just follows because you self-inflict it on yourself. And it was very powerful once you start accepting that. Until then, you will hear a pin drop. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You'll hear somebody say, "Totally, you heard about
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You will hear the pin drop because why? It's exactly what's going on. You're just like, holy crap. So and so said something to me. That just ruined my day. Versus, I'm gonna smile right through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, flip side to that is
Yeah. No, keep going.
flip side to that is unless somebody physically harms you,
Oh,
then you deal with that accordingly.
Yeah.
But if it's just hearsay, or even they came up to you and said, dude, you are yeah.
Mhm.
Your family's da 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 da. Okay. It's still within the verbal attack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How are you gonna address that? How are you gonna go fight them? You beat them up? Or are you just gonna smile and go right through it? And so for me, learning that from her, I'm not saying I came from the same streets as you guys, but hearing it from a Palangi who's a licensed clinical therapist, it changed the way I started thinking about things. All of a sudden, I'm like, dang. Because I probably should have went through therapy myself, but
I mean, you have a therapist. as a wife.
exactly. That's why I
That's the
opened
same
what I
thing.
was saying. That's why I opened it with that is because I'm blessed to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on. Boom.
Yeah.
This is how, you know, you should probably attack it and this and that. So I'm just sharing it with the guests or
Oh, right,
whoever's
right,
listening
right.
No,
that
absolutely.
it's 100% in your head. Unless somebody physically harms you,
Yeah.
you handle that however you want to handle it.
Yeah.
But if it's just words and if it's just hot air,
Mm.
did it really affect you or are you letting it affect you? And so it's really good to be able to hear these things and apply it in my daily life because I've done things in my life that
Yeah.
people
Preach.
talk about till today. Like, bro, you remember when the kind did this and this? I go. So it's, you know, at the end of the day, I just say, okay, I can stop and listen to you and ruin my whole day, my whole week. Or I can say, that's good you remember that. I'm going this way. Why? Because I have kids.
Yeah.
I have young kids.
Yes.
The more time I spend here, the less time I'm spending with them.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'm just sharing that because
No, perfect.
I'm fortunate enough to have somebody that can tell me that and not have to pay $200 a session. You see what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm better than anyone else. I just got lucky that just so happened that's how it rolled. So if I can share any information, it's pretty much that. But again, if somebody physically harms you,
No, thank
that's
you.
different. That's
Yeah.
different, you know.
No, thank you. I want to stay a little bit here. Stay here just for a little bit because it is real stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm getting emotional because hearing you guys being very transparent and vulnerable, it's real stuff that men don't really talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially in our own community. When I say community, like our culture.
Yeah.
And I love what you guys hit every point you say, go with a smile. Because you said they're not paying my bills.
No, not at
You
all.
know, you say just go with it, face it, the smile. You don't want to change who you are.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because if we take all our energy, anger, and aggression on them, who wins? They win.
Yep. Well, and you think about it, all that energy and effort you give to some stranger or even somebody within your circle.
Somebody might close.
Oh
to
yeah,
you.
somebody within your circle
Yeah.
could even be a family member.
Yeah.
That's the energy of love you're not giving to your kids
Yeah.
who are waiting for it, but you spent more time trying to defend yourself and your family, which there will never be a day that people are not going to talking crap about somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you look at it like, I almost feel bad about you.
Actually,
I almost feel bad for you that you're spending so much time in my.
worrying about what
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Worrying
But-
about our
but-
therapy,
Yeah, yes.
our healing.
Again,
You know what I
so
mean?
I took that and I dumbed that down all the way and started living by saying, you talk good, you talk bad, you still talking. I'm going this way, but you're still talking, which is fine. Again, at the end of the day, what I've learned from, living with, this person is you can take it how you want.
Yeah.
You look at the next guy. He's living, enjoying his life. We only have 24 hours in a day. If I spend 8 hours of that with you, I only have a handful of hours left to worry about it and love my kids, love my
Yeah.
wife, and if we're worrying about it, we've got to take ownership that's on us sometimes.
Yeah. We're allowing.
does that
them
make
to
sense?
affect us.
We're
We're
allowing them to affect
I'm
us.
allowing your words to affect me.
Imagine if somebody
Yeah.
said something to you and 24 hours went by. Holy crap. You got to sleep, wake up. Chances are when you sleep and you wake up, you still going to think about a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Now it's going 24 into the next day. Is that really how you're trying to live your life?
Yeah.
So I again, because you start changing the way you're thinking,
Mhm.
who are you giving your attention to now?
And it's so important because, some can't afford therapy. Some
No,
don't
no,
live with the
no,
therapist.
no.
And I totally believe we all had this mindset growing up. But we got so cool to trying to please so many
Yep.
people,
Big
trying
time.
to show up to so many people and hide our feelings.
Yeah.
I believe this started from therapy right here, different circles. But for us, we try to hide everything
Yeah.
because we want to be in.
Mhm.
We want to be in with the jokes.
Well, and that's an insecurity in itself.
you know,
Because that's the same thing we're doing is the same thing somebody's giving to us. Their insecurities are being passed to us.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I always look at somebody who has something to say about me and say,
Oh yeah.
God,
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
bad about you.
Yeah.
But I'm not telling you. I don't want to
Yeah.
start a fight. But in my mind, I'm thinking, God, if you had that much time in your
Okay,
day
so
to
that-
worry about me,
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No. I was gonna chime in on what he said. So, as I was going through my process, and I realized that I was like, man, some people they got over it after a little while. Some guys, it was still going
no,
after.
cannot.
And in my mind, I was like, after finally, like I said, through therapy, you have a therapist at your house. Oh, I know Stunner, he does a lot of reading too, right? Because you gave me
That's part of mine,
some,
yes.
yeah.
That's
So,
part of my healing.
Yeah, part of the healing. So as you get healed, what I started to notice, I was like, man, the hurt people want to just hurt. That's or the misery loves company, right?
Yep.
Right there.
And I was just like, man. But so I started it made it easier to smile.
Sure.
Even welcome them, no matter, even if they had words to say afterwards, or just like, hey, we came here to do what we came to do. We'll mix a bucket. We'll, watch the football game. We'll do whatever. And then it started getting less and less.
Yeah.
And then I just like, but I do know, like prior to the healing, it was, well, I was that guy. 24 hours later, I was just like, frick, I don't know what the hell what's he gonna, what her or he is gonna get through their mind that, I'm trying to change, but again, nobody, like we said earlier, you can't take your resume to the next.
Sure.
But
And the most biggest thing is as we're making that transition of change. Like I said, some can't go therapy.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
don't live with the therapist. How can those individuals help themselves? And I think for me, for us,
Yeah.
it's really truly finding the peace in
Sure.
our own self.
Mm-hmm.
What both thank you for sharing that, because to really believe in us is hard. We hear it so much, believe in you or love yourself, love yourself. We never heard that word, love yourself.
Yeah.
What is love yourself? What does it mean?
Yeah.
Put yourself first.
Yeah.
So I truly believe as we transition into that, is finding a deeper meaning of healing here. And like both of you guys hit it, just go with the smile
Mm-hmm.
and just show up like there's nothing else, because they're the one hurting.
Yeah.
You guys both,
And
said
you
it,
have
they're
to.
the one hurting.
You have to. So a scientific fact is, it takes 21 days for a habit to become a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whoever's watching, count from today. Start smiling through all of this stuff, all the crap. You know what I'm saying? For 21 days, it'll become a habit.
Mhm.
When it becomes a habit, you don't need a therapist. You just gotta talk to yourself and say, "Hey, let's try for 21 days.
You
Let's
are
smile
worthy.
through whatever." You
You
see
are
what I'm
worthy.
saying? You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to have a therapist. It's just you gotta understand what happens. And so, scientifically, at least 21 days of saying,
Sup, brother?
but do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. Avoid people. Do what you. But at the end of the day, if you can make it to 21 days by spot, it's gonna be a habit to where I don't even hear the haters anymore.
And also to that, sometime as for us that's healing, you know what I mean? Sometimes we, like you're saying, someone asked me this. What if you just avoid showing up to negative people or people that we're speaking to? Do we avoid showing up to people in those areas, or we just show up?
I mean,
I wanna
I know
ask-
mine
it's,
yesterday.
it's like an alcoholic, right? If you continue to go to massas and you walk up and down the icebox aisle with all the alcohol, are you reminding yourself that, God, I want to taste one of those? Or if you stay out of massas and and go to the stores that you need to frequent, like Foodland that doesn't have alcohol. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can avoid things without saying you're not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying to break up relationships. I'm just saying you can tell where the negativity and that comes from. You don't have to be around it, but if you choose to be around it, well, guess what? It's going to be that much easier to fall back in and say, open the refrigerator, grab a cold pack, go buy them, and you're right back to square one. But if we're taking 21 days to become a habit, well, we're not doing ourselves a favor by continuing to be around.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just sorry.
I'm glad. On my method,
Yeah.
which was the one I still went to places. I still was trying to be me. I realized that I just had to change. And I heard this. I confirmed this. One of the young G's talking story with me, and he told me that I guess he does the same thing, but for a different reason.
Mm.
And it was basically, I still hold my circle of the boys, like all of you guys, but the priority changes. If negativity is constantly something that just spills out, if you come to me wherever I'm at. If I'm not out here, then you call me. I'll accept your call, but I'm not driving to.
Sure.
I'm not driving to you anymore. I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
So, and again,
That's-
if I haven't seen you in a while, don't complain.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about you guys. I might be.
And also, I think there's different. Depends what you're going through in your own personal life.
Sure.
Yeah.
The traumas you're going through, different ways how you handle different people. You know what I mean? So, like for me, my own personal, maybe you guys know my story. You guys been around my darkest moments, all that. Me stepping out with my family, my wife, and my kids doing all that. So it took longer for me to. It was a tougher road, and tougher to face people, and also it was more. I had to build myself up again because I lost my confidence.
Yeah.
All that.
Oh.
I lost. Once when that's gone, then you feel like the worst person.
Yeah.
So I had to rebuild a lot of those, and that's what one of my hours came from is rebuilding.
Yeah.
And how do I face people and still show up? Because all of us were in the community in what we do, right?
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
So how do we show up. Thank you for answering that. Is as long as we show up with a pure heart
Sure.
Mm.
and the right frame of mind, that we are moving up, no matter what they say.
Yep.
Nothing else. But
Yep.
like I said, there are friends that we still can reach and say, hey, I totally understand what you've
Yeah.
been through. I've been there.
Mm.
If you want to talk, I'm here. And we got to do more of that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time we go, hey, I'm here. Call me when you. We're not going to do that.
Mhm.
But if we find out some like personal stuff like this, I hope you're sharing, listening, share with somebody that's going through, because some can fall into that negative
Yeah.
stuff and
Yeah.
then they start going backwards.
Start feeling alone.
You start feeling alone, then you go fall into more whatever things you were addicted to. But if you have help, the right help that helps you, first try to reconnect yourself with God first. That's how I did it. This is my own way with my wife, and we're still doing it to this day.
Yeah.
Is reconnecting myself with God, aligning myself with the Heavenly Father, to my wife, to my family. Walking through is like walking through the boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
All those negativity, all the jokes from the boys. It's like it's not funny.
Yeah.
Me, I don't even laugh anymore.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they want to say, hey, you remember that time?
Oh yeah.
Hey, you remember that time?
And
We
that's
laugh
why.
for
Yeah.
like
That's
just to funny, but not funny
Yeah.
anymore.
But
We're
that's-
in a different space.
That's what I said earlier. The mental side of things is if you allow those guys, even if they bring up, I mean, if they're close to you and they still want to
Mhm.
take shots at you, it's easy to let them talk and brush it off or whatever. You could either, like I said, not be around when that.
Yeah.
But it's up to you on how you're going to take it.
Yeah.
I really believe you can. There's ways to brush it off, but you have to find it within yourself to be strong enough to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If not, are you really rebuilding yourself, or are you I'm acting like I'm rebuilding myself, but I'm still allowing it to affect me?
Yeah.
Versus I'm actually gonna let it, and I need to practice it by saying, okay, if I gotta go, I gotta go. Yeah, I listen to you. You got your crack out of it for the day. Okay, I'm gonna take off. And so just depends. Sometimes it comes from the most closest people around you.
Always.
You know what I'm saying?
Right?
The people in
Always.
the next level, they shouldn't know you that good enough to take shots at you. You know what I mean? Whether you're in the circle or not. And so,
And I think those close people, when they know you're trying to heal already, then it's almost okay. Maybe it's not the right time to throw a shot.
some
If they're close to
some
us,
people, yeah.
like us, we know which button not to push,
Yeah.
not to. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I know we're healing from something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We're healing from, but just because somebody don't have anything nice to say, those are the things they want to try to be funny.
Well, and it also doesn't mean you have to get rid of that person in your life. Not at all. Not at all. But at the same time, if you're really good friends with that person, then not only they know you, but you know them.
Yeah.
And you know them. Once he starts going, a lot of times it takes them a long time to stop this poking fun at.
Yeah.
So if you know what I'm saying? If you know them, we have friends, our own friends that I already know.
Yes.
I know 3 people off the top of my head that when they go, it's to get their own kicks out of it.
When I fulfill their own insecurity.
When I look at that, it's exactly that. It's I feel bad for you because you are
going through stuff.
Not a bad way of feeling bad for you. I feel bad because you're going through stuff that even you cannot recognize.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? And so it's it's how, again, it goes back to the mental side of it. How are you going to take it?
Yeah.
You're going to take it like, get offended? Guess what? This healing will never happen. You're going to always be chasing this feeling, and somebody will always be teasing you and running and chasing you. It'll never end, but something's got to happen. And until then, we right back to square one.
Oh, yeah. So kind of on the same thing, but also a little bit more on the a little bit different angle, a little bit more colorful perspective. So because I chose the way I chose, it was just to go head first into even situations where I knew I was going to start to feel like my self-worth drop.
Right.
Man, I was comforted by it. And again, it was only, I realized that out of like the hundreds of friends that I, in the circles, there was only like a handful of them that were the ones that, like I said, the hurt. And I feel like, and then I found out, later something tied to their story. Like maybe they have some situation in their own family that's similar.
Yeah.
That's why the pain is just coming. I just brought the pain right back up. But like looking at everything and kind of like one of the most comforting things was as I went full in my mind, I'm like, if I enter a room, I'm just like, all right, you can just gotta buck up and let's go wherever, if it, and, even to the point if I have to like, take on any, verbal assaults, whatever. But it was nothing but love. And I was like, and I just found them like, and here I am walking in with all my armor, just like, okay, which one of you go? And then it's like, nobody is like, Sully, how you doing? You okay? You good? And I was just like, oh, Sully, I'm good. Sully, we're good. And and then we're back to being boys, back to doing whatever we do. And so, yeah. So, I mean, that was a positive stuff that I saw just from, again, my brain was just like, okay, I'm going to eventually run into this sometime. Spearhead right into it. And I was like, okay. But again, I thought it was going to be met with more malice and more anger and more frustration and trash talk. But I was surprised that it was more, hey, how are you doing? You okay? People concerned about our mental health. And I was like,
and it's real, man.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that, both of you, because the biggest thing is this is real talk what we do right now. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. The Get Done podcast, my tool. So share, this mental health thing because it is real. And the most importantly is like both of you guys hit it. Everything you guys say, you guys hit it on the spot because it's how we show up.
Yeah.
We're gonna show up. We don't have to please everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's how we show up. Hey, this is me, happy. It's okay. You don't say something about me or my kids or my wife. It's okay. But this is me. And you know what? Eventually, they're gonna want to be a part of that group.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to be a part of that.
And that
they're
could
gonna
be
pull more to you, pull more to what are you doing differently?
Yeah.
What are you doing differently? Why this is not bothering you? You know what I'm saying?
And that could be a reason why they are doing that. It's because they see you making the change.
Absolutely.
They see you succeeding. And succeeding isn't just financially. It could be like, wow, he's doing his thing. He ain't, he don't bother nobody. He go to work, he come right back. I want that. So the roundabout way of doing it is saying, to leave. You see what I'm saying? So again, and the only reason why I say this is because, again, you don't need a therapist, but I'm fortunate to have one. So in a way, it's a daily therapy, right? For me, so anything I do get and I say, just know it comes from a background of, and because I can ask questions and I can say things and bounce things off, I feel like it's gotten easier for me to be able to face all these things, because I can count 100 things that I've done that it's easy for me to say, tell me, remember when but again, if I step in that mud, I'm gonna get stuck in that same pile of mud, and that's my fault.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's
like that, watching all those like positive stuff is so helpful because me and my wife, we do our meditations every day, every morning. We wake up, we play something positive, church video or whatever. So we do our own personal meditation and we check on each other. Hey, how you feeling this way or this way? That's something really new to me. You know what I mean? Somebody checking on my feelings, somebody checking on our feelings. Hey, how does it make you feel if I do this? Or how does it make you feel if I say something like this? Sometimes I have to ask my wife, can you say it in a different way? Because the way I'm hearing it, I'm almost taking it personal. So can you help me understand in a different way? So I think that's a lot of us, the growth that we have as a man, as you have, is don't jump to it right away when you hear something. Take your time in resetting and hearing what they're trying to say. And what a great message what we're talking about because it is real. We face it every day. We see it. Now, this is the thing. Another question right here. How do we help that next person? Say you are bad mouthing somebody,
Mhm.
right? Because it does happen in what we do.
More often than not, yes, it
How do
happens.
you help somebody, like you say, you bad mouthing somebody that's not here?
Yeah.
Because, like for me, I'm just gonna say before we all laugh, yeah, we all
Yeah.
laugh when we jump in. How can we switch that up so it doesn't feel negative, like what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Do we jump in with them and say, oh yeah, he did do that, or you know,
No, I'm trying to think of how I cope with it, and I'm like, I think so. Like, hey,
the
for
jokes.
to package this properly, so we can unpack it later.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
Oh, so there's a version of me that the boys think, oh, that's the version that got in trouble, whatever. But that version is still alive and kicking, and that's the. So what I do realize is when they're trying to attack, I don't know if I sometimes take it as, is he still feeling if his boy is still there? Like, if I'm still there, which I realize, okay, he's not. Some of it, like you said, it's internal, right? Sometimes
Sure.
you can take it as
Sure.
if it's an attack. So sometimes I'll stop and I'll kind of listen to it, and I realize, oh, he's not attacking me. He's so I hope I'm answering the question, but he's like, oh, he's trying to see if Solid Mauso is still there. Like the guy that I because think about the times that we grew up. There's a lot of stuff like like U95 is walking around like throwing the football in people's yards, or just stuff that kept you guys close. Some of the boys they do that, and it has nothing to do with an attack on my persona or my challenge or my issue. It has something to do with just something like, I figure I better not lose you as you go through this journey, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
I want to make sure my boy's still there, so they'll do that. It's like they're poking and prodding, but it's not an attack on myself. It's like more. So for me, I gotta sift through that first. It's like if I feel that, and I'm like, okay, is this an attack or is this like
A wellness check.
yeah, it's a basically right. And then when I realize what it is they're doing, I basically turn on the old me just to like remind them, but then I realize they get their laugh, and it's almost like we come to like a even like a level. We're all level ground, common ground, and then I was like, oh okay. I was like, man, was I that uptight like sitting
No,
in here?
no.
No. I mean that's how I feel like to sitting around some of the boys at the mix. I'm like, oh, I better loosen up just a little bit because right now they probably feel like, oh, get your recommend back.
Acting different. Yeah, acting different now.
No, I want to agree and disagree.
Yeah, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
On that, you know what I mean. This is my own opinion
Yes.
and about that because I thought like that too.
Oh yeah.
I thought like that too. Okay, maybe I gotta turn on my old self again just to keep everybody even. You know what I mean? Just to make them feel comfortable. That was my issue.
Yeah.
I keep trying to please everybody, trying to make them feel comfortable. If they do not like the new us, what we're trying to do, it's not a new us. It's always been us.
Yeah.
But we've been hiding that us for a long time. This us that they want to see, that's just a character.
Yeah. True.
That's just like a character we're trying to play every time. You know what I mean? We're trying to entertain. We like to entertain. We like to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So they want to see that character. We still can be that character and still show like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm going this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You my boy. You're gonna love me wherever I'm going. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying like, I don't have to show my old character to you anymore.
Right.
This is us now.
Yeah.
And I totally know where your heart is, what you're talking about. We're trying to make everybody feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And if they have those thoughts of like, now you go do this, now you switch, now you're different. You know what? Like Senga said, it's on them.
Yeah, it is.
It is their problem.
100%.
It's their problem what they're trying to
And
do.
the way you take it is 100% on you.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying like, don't feel bad like you have to switch back to your old self.
Yeah.
Because who you are trying to please your friend.
Yeah.
And both of you guys said it. It's on them. They're trying to make it feel comfortable so because they're going through their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then you think about when you were going through stuff. The best way to cope with you going through stuff and being deep in your own stuff is to find ways to poke fun at someone else. It's human nature. It's not like somebody's intent is to I want to harm you. I want to talk so much that it's human nature to say, God, I need to take some of this weight off. Well, let's go find a mix and let's go. Freaking easy. I heard about you and your story. What? Everything good? If you think about the psychology behind it, it's not rocket science. If you understand 100% of what they're telling you, that unfortunately it's their fault.
It's there, yeah.
They're going
100% of what you
Absolutely,
accept.
both of you guys said.
100% of what you accept. But that's on you, bro. Like, we can sit here and talk about it and go around the bull a million times, but it comes down to pretty much that. How are you going to take it? And how are they giving it to you? Because it's coming from a place of, God, I'm going through some stuff.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is what I did earlier was I said, you're the person healing. Imagine when you was going through, you're deep in your stuff. We think about it now because we're trying to get out of the smoke.
Yeah.
But when you was just starting to smoke and you're deep into it, it's cloudy. You don't know what you're doing. So you go to the maze, go, tell me, I heard about you and your wife and your. It's human nature.
Yeah.
It just happens. How do you take it? It's up to you. It
Yeah.
really is 100%. And I'm saying that from a licensed clinical therapist. So you don't have to have a therapist. But I'm telling you what a master's degree will sit here and tell you and save you $200 a person.
So you can get a therapist, you can marry a therapist,
I'm just saying,
or you can do your own healing. Either way, it's reset.
There's
right?
no way around it. But at the end of the day, if a therapist tell you what you already know, you just paid him $200 for that. If you step back and say, okay, I actually know better. It's just waiting for time for me to understand that this is what I'm doing. And then you start moving. It's just timing. Everything's timing.
And also on that too, I want all you, like whoever's watching, like us, is to share the story.
Mm.
How did we handle these stories?
Yeah.
Because for me, it's more powerful than sitting and paying for a therapist that do not know you,
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
do not know your story. So I'm saying by sharing our personal story of how to handle things that you've been through, I've been through, you know what? I'll sit down and listen.
Yeah.
Because you are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying nothing wrong with therapy. Therapy is great because me and my wife did.
No. But it's so, I love what you just said. But then now you're going to have to find, or we're going to have to define the culture differently. We're going to have to start creating mixes or circles where it's open-minded, right? Like that. Like people are willing to listen because, like I said, the culture is, don't explain your life.
Yeah.
But no, that's why I said I love what you said. Like you're right. I feel like that is another form of therapy. It's another great form of therapy, like to do it the cultural way. But it also has to be a really good circle that
Absolutely.
is not just sitting there judging the whole time, because then they take away from it.
Yeah, and if they're not ready, my thing. If you're absolutely right. Like, see, we can sit like this and talk like this all night because we understand where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So find yourself a group that is safe space.
Yes.
No judgment, that is willing to listen and that's been through something that relates to what we're doing right here.